Hello, welcome back to the Off-Grid family. Today we are looking inside the e-bike battery in more detail, and we're going to get all the batteries, the 18650s, out, cleaned up and ready to be reused. If you haven't seen the video of the original one where I was looking in the batteries, I'll put a little doer up here and in the description. But before I get on, I would just like to thank Paul, David and Simon, my patrons. You guys are absolutely fantastic. The support you've given me is wonderful, and I really appreciate everything you do for me. I will say, if you would like to become a Patreon, then have a look in the link in the description. There are behind the scenes and various other bits and bobs. There will be outtakes, but I've been working on a video and it's been taking me forever. Anyway, what we're going to do today is we're going to remove the 18650 batteries from the entire cell that they're in. Clean them up and charge them and get them back to working so we can basically use them again. This will take a little while because of the way they're welded to the actual nickel strips. It can be destructive if you pull them off too hard, and nickel is a nightmare. You cut yourself, you short out wires, there'll be about 50,000 sparks I'm sure, and various other things, but it's well worth it because the amount of 18650 batteries you can get back up and running and working is incredible. Anyway, let's get on. Okay, so that's enough talking. Let's just get straight on with taking this apart and getting it all, you know, ready for us to dissect properly. First thing I'm going to do is remove the tape. And this is quite good quality tape. It's quite strong. It's relatively heat proof, etc. I have taken apart ones that are much, much cheaper than this, and they tend to be held together with masking tape. Only the most flammable tape you can imagine. But also, I've opened up one of these, and all of the batteries were soldered on, not spot welded. And you know, you can get away with soldering them on, especially if you've got no access to a spot welder, etc. You know, I'm not dissing people who do that, but it does cause problems to the batteries. And if you are a company that is selling batteries for a few £100s, you really should invest in a spot welder, because it's going to massively help the battery's longevity, etc. You know, I'm going to snip these off because it's not going to make much sense me desoldering them when they're, you know, we're only losing a tiny bit of length. Okay, so that's all the sort of brains of the outfit, and this is all the brawn left over. Now, with these, they tend to be a bit finicky to come off when they are put in these sort of sections. I'm going to do my best not to break any of the plastic housing. Again, as I say in the last video, you can 3D print these quite simply, but what's the point when you've already got them here? But it's going to be tough, so we'll see what we can do. The tools I tend to use for this are some side snips, some front-facing snippers, different needle nose pliers, and then some normal but sort of needle nosy pliers. And this is just to allow you to hopefully be able to peel up the welded pieces like this. This stuff is nickel strips, right? This will cut you, you know, like a scalpel, probably even easier than a scalpel. I will cut myself in this video, 100%. So just be careful, this stuff is awful. Right, now this one I've managed to get up ever so slightly from pulling on the actual soldered bit. So now what I do is I take my needle nose pliers and I try and roll it. And basically the idea is to roll this off. If we just roll it, we've lost a bit. Again, it's just awful, this stuff. So find another edge. These are very well tacked on here, to be honest. Now I'm going to try and use my side snips. Nope, the front snips I mean. I know what I mean. Basically, it's always hardest to start off, but once you sort of get started, it tends to peel off quite easily. Unfortunately, I am damaging this battery. There you go. Oh my god, there's another one underneath it. Right, now, once you've got it to this sort of point, you can roll. Try not to touch the connectors together. You can roll it off, but I wasn't looking what I was doing. But if you have a look, we've got two sections that have been stapled down, which tends to be a better quality battery because they are making sure that there is enough conductivity. So now again, I'm going to roll it, and this should pop the weld off with the least destruction to the battery, but it does leave super sharp pieces. I don't know if you can see that, but that will cut so deep, it's awful. So again, I'm just going to roll without touching the other batteries. I think that's my idea today. Okay, so that's the first section done, and there is still razor sharp bits on it, and this is what I do with the side snips to snip them off, or I would wait till it's all done, then I've got the use of both of these, and that's what I'm going to do. If you're going to leave them till you've done everything, just be careful where you put your fingers. These will cut your fingers to pieces. Anyway, obviously I'm going to speed through the rest of this as well, and oh, it's going to be a long, long day. Okay, so there's a lot more rust on these than I thought there was. Oh, I think I just cut myself, hang on. Nope, nearly. It will happen. So now I need to get this off. There's still lots and lots of places where there is lots and lots of sharp pieces. That will be the clear up after this section. Let me get that bit off now. I've just tightened it up and there we go. So now I need to try and get this off, and these can be quite difficult to get off, so I might end up needing a mallet and a piece of wood, but we shall see. What I'm going to do is just gently tap the plastic to see if we can slowly start removing it. We don't want to try and hit the batteries if possible. We're slowly getting there. Bingo. Right, do you know, I haven't even counted how many batteries we got here, but I'm going to start removing them, and then the next stage is clearing them up properly, and we're going to see how bad the rust is as well. There's 60 batteries there, and what I'm going to do before I do anything more is test them with the multimeter. Okay, so all I'm going to do is chuck the multimeter onto DC and check them to see if there's any charge in them at all. 2.9 I'm happy with. There's obviously going to need a lot more cleaning after this, but basically this will weed the ones out that are broken completely or have been discharged too much. And I can just basically go through them, and it just saves me a bit of job. Oh. That one's touch and go, but because there's so much rust on it, it may be that it's fine, but it's just not conducting, so I will give that the benefit of the doubt. This one is fine. I've got lots of stuff to be able to clean these up properly and get rid of, you know, to fix these bits and so on, so I'm not bothered about the outward condition. Anything that's above 1 volt, other people say, oh, chuck away 1 volt. I keep them, but I put them into a separate pile, and I use them for little LED lights, you know, solar powered LED lights and things, because they will work fine for that, and they'll be much better than the button cell batteries that are often in them. But yeah, they won't be used for a big battery sort of project. Right, I'm going to stop checking there. The majority of them are fine. Okay, so my next job now is to get rid of all the bits. That is razor sharp, they're awful. And what I'm going to use is the side snips, and I'm just going to cut all the bits off, get rid of them, and clean these up the best I can with this, and then we'll go to the next step. Right, they have all been done now. They are still in some cases a little bit tacky, like as in they've got a little bit of like sharpness to them, but nothing that's going to cause a cut or anything. However, they are quite rusty still. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a bit of isopropyl alcohol. I'm going to show you with a cotton bud now, but I'm going to use an actual piece of rag in a minute. But basically, you just give it a little rub with isopropyl alcohol, and that will get all the surface rust off, or it should do, you know. Enough so that we can recharge them, check them, etc. And then we can do a better cleanup later if needs be. As I say, I can use a Dremel to get in there and just get rid of all the other little bits. But we're just going to remove as much of the surface rust as we can, just to make sure that there's a connection when we put them onto charge. And then we can actually go to the actual cleaning process. So that is 2 I've done out of all of these. I will not do a time lapse of this, there is no point, but I'll be back once I've cleaned them all up and we can start doing some actual charging and testing and so on. Okay, so that is the majority of the rust taken off them. You'll see around the cardboard it's quite bad. Obviously you can't get the rust out of the cardboard, but that's not a problem. I can just take these bits off. I have the sticky bits, you know, the connector covers anyway, so that's not an issue at all. Now what I'm going to do is I think I'm just going to start putting them in the charger and basically just seeing what happens. Now this charger I'm going to do a review on anyway, but I got this a couple of months ago and so far I've been very, very happy with it. But as I say, I will do a review of it eventually, but let me find it. This here charges pretty much any battery you can imagine, and it's pretty cool because it doesn't matter which way round you put the batteries. Doesn't matter if you've got 3 of one type, 2 of another and 1 of a completely different one. It'll charge whatever. It's very, very useful. Okay, so now we can go through all the different things. So number 1, it's supposed to be at 4.2 volts and it's slowly charging it. Number 2 is 4.2, number 3 4.2, number 4 4.2. Now this one here is struggling a little bit, but it is charging, which is awesome. So the last 2 are the lowest. What you need to do is you need to just keep an eye on them and check that they're not getting too hot. Other than that, I can basically leave this charger to do its work and come back to it a little while later and it will have charged all of them, and then I can put them to one side and I can basically go through all of the other ones now and charge them all up. This will tell me if there's batteries that are rubbish. I'll know that quite soon because they'll either get too hot or they won't charge, etc. So yeah, I'll be back once I've charged all of them up. So this is going to be a couple of days worth of charging. Right, so it's been about 2 hours. And number 1 is finished, number 2 is finished, number 3 is finished, number 4 is finished, number 5 and number 6 is still going, but now we can remove these. And we can put some new ones in. Yeah, if any of them turn out to be 1 volt or less, or 2 volts possibly, then I just won't include them in the next stage. I keep forgetting how good this charger is. This has literally taken me just a little bit less than a day. A lot of them were close to being charged anyway, and the only 2 I didn't charge were these 2, which the top bits come off, and you can cause a nasty short if you try and do that. But I do have all the stuff to fix them, and then I'll charge them up again. But the next part I have to do is I have to put these away for this away, not this. I have to put these away for about, I'd say about a month, and what I do is I leave them for a month and then I check them for voltage, and if the voltage has dropped below let's say 4 volts, then they go into a separate place where they get used for other things, like I've said before. As I say, I only want the ones that are good quality, that are going to stay kept, that are going to keep their charge. So these are going to go away for a month or so, and then I will make another video on actually making the battery from scratch, and I'll show you all of that process. Okay, so there you go, 60 batteries that basically are working. There's 1 or 2 that I'll have to use for, you know, a solar project of some kind or whatever, just something little, a few lights, etc. Well, a few LEDs. But you know, that's a huge saving. If you were to have gone out and bought that many 18650 batteries, it's going to cost you quite a bit of money. I'd rather recycle them if I get the opportunity. Anyway, thanks again to my patrons, and thank you for watching. I'll see you again next week. Bye for now.